Today, we're looking at Diamine Green Black. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. I get inks, test them, and share the results with you. Now, Diamine Green Black is a green ink, although very dark. To make sure I have a range of experience with this ink, I do the writing samples. I put that ink into a different pen for a day. I then put it into a Lamy All-Star with a 1.1 stub to take my notes for this video. Now before we get to the writing samples, let's look at the sciencey bits. Up first is a chromatography, and I agree with Vita that I've learned a lot by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. I put a line of ink down and immediately put it in the water for 10 to 15 seconds. And we see this nice tan color across the bottom, and it works its way up into a lighter green and then gets to be much darker green on top, which sort of tells you the reason for some of these darker greens. Now the one on the right I let dry for 10 minutes before I dunk it into water. We see a much more clear sort of dark khaki line across the bottom. Then we get that light green that moves up and it works its way progressively to being that much darker tone. Very nice. For the inks I've tested, I've found an average viscosity of 2.5, with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Diamine's Green Black has a viscosity of 1.78, making it a very wet ink. To find my average dry times, I use my writing samples done with the extra fine and medium nib on Clairefontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. For the inks I've tested, I've found an average dry time of 17 seconds, with a realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Diamine's Green Black has an average dry time of 19 seconds, making it normal. Higher side of normal, but still normal. Now, let's look at the writing samples. I got this ink in sample form, and to keep my writing sample consistent, I use a Jinhao 159 with a Goulet 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a Goulet medium, and a Jinhao X750 with a Goulet extra fine. Let's take a look at the Clairefontaine. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 offers no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. And it definitely has that it's kind of a black ink to it. The extra fine has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. And it definitely has a kind of a dark green ink to it. Medium has no feather, spread, halo, sheen. It does offer shade, and it says, yeah, I'm kind of a green and kind of a black. It gets both here. When it does show shading, it shades to black. It performs very nicely. Too dark a green for me. But this performs very nicely. 19 seconds to dry. The scrubby of the extra fine and the medium do show us some color variation, but because it's a dark green going to black, it's harder to see in the scrubby, nicer in the writing. The smear test says you could likely recover it. Tomoe River. No bleeding. Yes, we have ghosting. Because it's Tomoe River. Alright. The 1.1 has no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, and is black with no shade. The extra fine has no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade, because it's black. The medium has no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. But it's a super dark green. It's not black anymore. 27 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both of them show us no color variation. We didn't get any color variation, but the smear test, you could likely recover it, and the green is obvious with the smear. Just not anywhere else on that paper. What happens on Rhodia? Well, Rhodia gives us no bleeding and no ghosting. Silly. The 1.1 has no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen. It is a super dark green, but it's not the black. But you might mistake it for black. Extra fine, no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shading. 15 seconds to dry. It's a green. So this is the most interesting quality of this ink. It is a green, it is a black. It actually gives you both. 15 seconds to dry with the extra fine. A medium, no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. It's much darker again. It's hard to, I see it as a super, super dark green. I don't really see the black here. The scrubby for both show us no color variation. We didn't get any color variation here. The smear test says you could likely recover it. Can we bring out some of that green with a yellow paper? Let's give it a shot. The yellow rhodia gives us no bleeding, no ghosting. What happens to the color? Well, the 1.1 holds strong and is rather unaffected in its tone. The extra fine definitely lightens up and becomes a green. And the medium becomes more of an actual green than a black. It's nice. It's nice here. And it's very dark. It might be mistaken for a black, because people really don't pay attention when they're not fountain pen people. When they're not stationary people, you might get away with this. Sneak it through, If you're signing payroll checks, sign those checks with a green ink sometime. Just see what happens. See if anybody notices. The 1.1, no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen. It looks black there. The extra fine has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade, and it certainly looks green. And the medium has no feather, spread, the extra fine took 15 seconds to dry. The medium has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. It took 20 seconds to dry, and it looks like a dark green. We got 3 totally different colors here. That's very nice. The scrubby showed us no color variation. We didn't get any color variation. The smear test says you could likely recover it. So what if you sent a letter to your pen pal on some original Crown Mill laid paper? Well, if you put it down stupid thick in some areas like I do on the scrubby, you might get a little bit of start of some bleed through. Otherwise, you get no bleeding and no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. And I'm kind of confused if it is a green or a black. So it's neat. Neato. All right. Extra fine. It's a lighter tone of that I can't tell if it's green or black, except where it's super light, like at the top of the. Extra fine, no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no real shading, although it does have spots. Like I said, the top of the is lighter than the rest of the. But that's about it. I really don't see much else in shading. But this, I can't tell if it's green or if it's black, is a lighter tone. It's really kind of cool. A darker tone again with the medium. No, I'm sorry, that was 8 seconds to dry. A darker tone with the medium. No feathers, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. 13 seconds to dry. The scrubby showed us we're not getting any color variation on this, and we didn't. The smear test says you could likely recover this, maybe. Maybe. The extra fine, not so much the medium. Anyway, black and red paper. What happens on black and red? Nothing on the back. No bleeding, no ghosting. That 1.1, no feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen, no shade. It's not black. It's a dark, dark green. And the extra fine becomes a much lighter green. With it comes a little bit that's interesting. No feather, no spread, no halo, no sheen. It does offer some shading spots. The K in quick gets darker. The B in brown is darker and it gets lighter. The starts with a lighter and gets darker. Over starts light and gets dark. So extra fine actually provides us some decent color variation. And it only took 10 seconds to dry. Now we lost the shading with the medium. It had no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade. It's a noticeably darker tone. It took 14 seconds to dry. The scrubby of the extra fine and the medium look like they have no color variation, but the extra fine did have it. You liar. The smear test says you could likely recover it if you smeared it while you were writing, and that is all that I have for the writing sample. Instead of finding inks that look like Diamine's Green Black, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. I've chosen Diamine's Claret because it is a very nice red to purple color. Before I give my opinion on this ink, I would ask, if you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and if it's your first time here, I would invite you to subscribe. So what do I think of Diamine's Green Black? This is a very, very dark green, which means in your finer nibs, you could probably get this to sneak by in a professional environment where it might pass as black quite a bit. It's so dark. Even up to some of the mediums, it is a very, very dark green. Now, once you're into the stub, you get some of the beautiful green tones that are there. And if you like a dry pen, this ink gives great tone variation in its writing, and it is absolutely gorgeous. I'm sticking with the idea that if what you want to do is to get your green ink to slip by in a professional environment, this is a great one to choose. Thanks for watching.